Okay, well, I'm bored. And I guess what's on my mind? I hate recording shit. This sucks. But anyways, what am I thinking about? I was thinking about the unilome and its connection to the golden ratio, so phi ratio, and the Fibonacci sequence. And what am I actually thinking? Because the second I turn a video on, it starts to fuck with my head and I can't think properly anymore. But okay, so the unilome. The bottom starts much wider than the top. The top is enlightenment, and the crisscross between everything is a representation of how, if you choose to learn your lessons, then they start to get, your hard times, your downfalls start to get shorter and shorter, and you get higher and higher, more quickly. But the fun thing is that the phi ratio and Fibonacci sequence, they show up in nature all the time, except then I end up thinking, like, does the phi ratio actually ever show up? Because it's supposed to represent perfection. And similar to the Eye of Horus, all of the fractions of the Eye of Horus, which, I mean, they were used as measurements for just volume and trading grain and stuff like that for Egyptians. And when you add up all the fractions, it only equals 63 out of 64, because nothing will ever be perfect here. I guess, like, it's all about striving for perfection and never making it, because if you made it, then what's the fun in that? Then there's nothing to do. And I guess quality doesn't really matter. Same with this. Perfect example right now. Yeah, doing this whole thing. It's starts off as something crude, and then the more that you practice makes perfect. But that's hilarious, because yeah, you'll always make mistakes, and if you're not making mistakes, then you're not really having fun anymore. Yeah. Anything else? Oh, well, I guess relating, the reason why I'm thinking about it is because I was at an all-time high, and then everything fell apart like it always does. It has to. There's no other choice. I mean, has to, I guess. To the degree that it falls apart is up to you, but I guess when you sort of make a pivot and change your entire core value system, not change it actually, just reveal it, because for the longest time you were too scared to say anything, because you had a pretty good idea of what was going to happen the second that you opened your mouth, and the accuracy is pretty close. But anyways, so you kind of start all over again. But the funny thing about starting all over from scratch is that you're never actually starting from scratch, because you have all of the experience to do it better this time. And that's the fun part. So right now I'm coming back. Well, I don't know, I guess it depends. I ended up talking to this one guy in a grocery store, and just synchronicity, we started to talk, and he was on the exact same journey as me, and we both shared very, very similar experiences, mostly around breath work is what we ended up talking about, and the primordial breath work that ends up causing the curling of your body, like the curling of your arms mainly, because you might enter a state of fear because you're going into the unknown. So then your physiology ends up sort of trying to regress into the fetal position, into the most innate and most natural and most comfortable and vulnerable, well, I guess least vulnerable. It's your most protective state that you could possibly be in. But we ended up talking, and his conclusion, what he ended up saying to me, is that you have to ride through the middle. So instead of following the sine wave, instead of going up and down and up and down and up and down, you find a way to ride in the middle of the wave consistently, which I don't know if I totally agree with. I haven't figured that out yet, because it seems stale. Why would you not want to sort of experience the... But then again, he was about a decade older than me, so then you think, like, do you ever hit a point where that is your phase? Or maybe it's just unrecognizable because your ups and downs are so... The line is almost fine, but it's still not perfect. It can't be perfect. Yeah. Anyways, this is mostly for me. I'm bored, and I like to talk, I guess. It's fun. But anyways, the fun thing that I also thought of, just synchronicity-wise, the unit, like the metric unit used for the Eye of Horus, well, broken up into its parts. It's called I don't know the correct pronunciation, but it's Hakat or Hakate. I want to say Hakate because that would be cool, because it's a huge synchronicity for me. In terms of some shit I've been just that's been popping up in my life. I used to be really, really, really into Greek mythology throughout sort of my early teen years. I read the whole Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief series and ended up learning a bunch about it. But the one goddess, well, the one deity in general in Greek mythology that always gets overlooked, or maybe it's just me, but the 13th goddess, the 13th goddess, but Hecate, goddess of wisdom. Well, not wisdom, I guess almost like witchcraft, magic. She's a good time. And anyways, she's been popping up all over the place for me. Yeah, interesting. So I guess that's it. That's all I have to say for now. Good night.